got the costume back on. Now I'm going to have to bathe in the ceremonial waters again.
You gotta go back.
Son of a bitch, every goddamn time. Hey, guys, welcome to our review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3. This was a much longer episode. This is something that I have been desiring and wanting from goddamn Mandalorian, gosh darn Mandalorian, Mom. Mandalorian for a long time. She watched my last video too. And basically, I really appreciated the extended length. You get room to breathe. You get time for characters to settle in, learn their motivations, to really feel like you're a part of the world. In many ways, this felt a little bit like it was taking some cues from Andor. So I'm glad to see some kind of carryover. If all the rest of the episodes are this long and we start to get some Mandalorian, because this focused. There was a bit with Bo-Katan and Din Djarin at the beginning and at the end. But mostly this was Dr. Pershing and this spy / lady person.
Ellie?
Well, it's from Moff Gideon's forces. And so we get this kind of episode setting up the subplot, setting up the other, story beats. Right now, we have the Mandalorian re-earning his place among his people. We're looking for a potential Mandalorian leader. And then on the other side, where is all this leading? Where is the remnants of the Empire? What is going on? How is this going to come to head? So this episode sets that up quite a bit. And I want to say up front that I felt like maybe it was a bit too hard on the last two episodes. I think people really did not like our opinions. We rated it kind of rather low for the first two episodes. So because we got that kind of response, a little surprised by it, I went back, I rewatched them, and I am going to change my rating. I'm not changing my rating on the first episode. I rewatched it and I said, yep, that's about what I thought it was. But the second episode, when I look at it, I really appreciated some of the horror elements and the character designs and a little, they ramped up the action a little bit. Now I still think some of the, I still think it really didn't push the plot forward. But Joel, the mythical beast, it's like, it was like at the end, my friend. But I do want to raise that score because as we go along in the season, we lower and raise our scores depending on the greater whole of the season. So I'm actually going to change my last episode rating from a 5 to a 7. And I'm going to leave my episode 1 rating at a 5 to a 5. I was considering a 6, but no, I'm going to keep it at a 5 because I watched it again, and it's just like the problem with these two first episodes, not only are they short in comparison to this one, but they just don't set up much story. You're not that invested in what's going on. What happens here, even with Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian, have even more tension and emotional weight. Here, Bo-Katan's home is fucking bombed, and when she's like, You could see it in her face.
My depression chair, no.
She ain't even got a face, but you could see it in her helmet. The effect on her, and she's like, fuck these motherfuckers. I'm going after these TIE bombers, right? And I felt it. I was like, let's fucking do this, That was more emotional than I got to go bathe in the waters of, Mandalorian. I don't really care about that. This is the way.
Yeah, if Jin hadn't gotten captured in the second episode, the series would have ended because Jin fell into a hole wearing armor. He just stepped into a pit and he would be dead.
There's still no explanation. I think they mention it in a line here that I didn't realize it was that deep.
Yeah, no fucking shit. But you don't have to direct it in a way that is
right.
The main character is portrayed as an idiot. He would be dead. The series would be over. Everything is done because he died. He fucking died there. Yeah. And all you had to do is make a rock break because of seismic activity, which they've told you about over and over.
Shake
it's
just
the
camera or
dumb
something
shit
like
does not belong in these things. Like if you watch it, you're like, wait a minute, why would he do that?
So I have those changes. Opportunity for y'all keeping it the same.
Same for now.
It's not. I mean, I just think that the average person who's like that has issues with what we just call average, right? And so when we say something's a 5, they see like, oh no, 75 out of 100 is average, because a lot of people use that scale we don't hear. And so I think a lot of the time people are like, you guys are being real rough on it. It's like, look, The Mandalorian's average episode is probably better than a lot of other things, and an average episode for The Mandalorian, like, we kind of have to limit that scale.
Yeah,
and I still don't think it's a great episode. It's a kind of a boring, meandering episode that a couple individual cool things happen, but like we saw 1 into 2, we see Bo-Katan go, I'm not helping you, get the fuck out of here. That's where the planet is. I don't want to do anything. And for us, 20 minutes later, she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna go help you and I'm gonna do everything. It's like it didn't work as an episode for me, and I'm not changing anything.
Yeah, and actually, I'm starting to see blowback on this. People, this is the most boring episode. I don't want an Andor in mine. I'm like, oh my God, is there really a rift between Star Wars fans where the ones wants just pure action and nothing going on, no story behind it,
There
just
are people
explosions and lasers.
The keys.
With the keys, you got the keys. And versus, people that want to actually set up character beats, character arcs, give tension behind scenes, and you want to see how they overcome it. And so this might be coming to head, and where exactly you land on this, and whether you think it's boring or whether you think it's going to be interesting.
I like this episode. For me,
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it had action and it had story. In the beginning, there's a badass dogfight, and then what's going on.
Oh, I love that.
And the way she maneuvering her ship.
That's
was
cool
badass.
shit from the cartoons.
That was sweet, as opposed to what we got in the first one with the gator thing. But
yeah.
And then we go into story, which is
maybe I shouldn't have changed my rating. God damn it, Alex! I should have talked to you. Because I do, but upon rewatching it, I did like it more. Because I think because we watched the episodes back to back, that first one kind of put me in a dour mood. Upon watching the second one again, I felt it just visually, the creative direction they were going with it, the little horror kind of side story, I appreciated a lot, and I want them to explore in that. But the point that Alex made, where it's like we're actually grading on a scale of The Mandalorian. So if we're talking about a 5 out of 10 within the Mandalorian universe, you have to factor that in, not 5 out of 10 up against, I don't know, The Walking Dead or something completely different.
It's really hard to rate TV shows, and you have to rate them kind of independently in their own lane, because it's like, oh, compare this to an episode of Band of Brothers or The Pacific or MASH or Breaking Bad or The Kardashians. Like, you can't. It's a wildly fucking different scale, so we try to keep things here. Yeah. And
so what did you think of this episode?
I think the intro was excellent, like fucking killer. The action was it was incredible. There was really cool stuff going on. You got to see amazing maneuvers. I can't wait to see what Legos we get out of this new set that's coming out. So there's so many cool things. And then we get Operation Paperclip happening in the Star Wars universe, where you got all of these, like, they're not Nazis, but Nazi scientists coming over to work, and we put them all in the same housing. And it's like, what could go wrong? So Coruscant Space Argentina.
The stupid part is they're not actually using them for their scientist brains, and that I have a little bit of problem believing.
The issue that I have here is, if Dave Filoni has a problem, and Dave Filoni has spent his entire fucking career trying to make movies that he enjoyed that had some of the worst writing that I've seen in theaters as far as like dialogue goes better, right? He made his whole career trying to make the prequels better than what they were. He did a really good job. I think Clone Wars was excellent. And I am worried that he is trying to, or that they are as a team trying to do how somehow Palpatine has returned. And it's like, that guy is the somehow. And if this episode is entirely based on them trying to eliminate him because he was getting too close to figuring out the somehow, I'm going to be really fucking mad.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Chime in. Dave Filoni has very little to do with this.
I mean, he's
got 2 episode credits. None of them are the ones that we've seen so far. This is Noah Clore and Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau do a lot of heavy lifting on season 3. Pretty much wrote it himself and revised it. Dave probably came in and checked some stuff out.
Yeah.
He is actually episode 4 and episode 7.
Yeah. He's just involved with the project, and that's what he likes to do. He likes to try to make things that people like, poopy parts of the prequels, seem really cool by fleshing them out in other media. And I'm not interested at all in the sequels. They're not good. Nothing is going to change my mind about that.
You're worried that this is really
leave it over there, right?
Setting it up and tying it in.
It's a House of the Dragon
situation.
situation.
To give it resonance.
Yeah, like when we're watching House of the Dragon and they're referencing the prince who was promised and all this other stupid shit, and you're just rolling your eyes and like, leave that garbage in the garbage.
You don't like the clone.
Let me enjoy this thing. And if I don't want this is how we cloned the Palpatine, and then there's pickle Palpatine there. I don't
Joe,
want
do you think that's what's happening here?
Oh, for sure, because that's what I was thinking.
Having
Is
to
like
do
it's
with Grogu?
yes,
yeah.
because that's what my first instinct is. Like he wants to continue his cloning. They're going to use it for Palpatine, but then Elena Kane kind of betrays him and is like, what is going on here then?
Well, she was set up like, I forgot about this lady completely. In the last season, maybe it was at the end of Boba Fett. I don't fucking know anymore. But she's like, what do you have for me? Like a job. And so she's over there. She's definitely full-on Moff Gideon Empire Remnant loyalist. I think though that she's not really going to turn him in, and that's the end of it. Now she's just going to use this as leverage. She's going to continue to be his friend, and get him to do what he needs to do.
Oh, I thought his brain is wiped.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because
she turned that up.
She turned it up to fucking 11.
And then
I'm unfamiliar on exactly how it works. They keep mentioning it. I was thinking it as a torture device. He's still going to remember something, but that's another way you can interpret it. Where
you're going to wipe my memory.
Right, it's a memory wipe device, but how long does it take? You just hit the button, in 1 second your mind is wiped, or are they going to do a thing where he remembers half the things he needs to remember, et cetera, and then the plot arc is by the end he's able to remember what he needs to remember to help them out, help Republic out, or Mandalorians out. I don't know. We're going to see exactly.
Because that's what I was trying to figure out, why she would do that, because if Moff Gideon wanted to clone...
So I thought that this doctor had been upgraded to a main cast member. Are you saying that this is just a episode centered around him, and then whoop, you're thrown away in the garbage now? We're done with you. You're a shell. And that was just showing how brutal she can be and setting her up as a potential. I don't think she's the big bad. I think she's sub-lieutenant. We're gonna learn about Moff, what he's been up to, and then potentially the way they've been talking as if there's other warlords in the area that are either banding together, or there's a higher warlord than Moff that is doing potential for Thrawn. No, because he's still, we have no confirmation on any of that stuff and whether he's returned. And so we'll have to figure out exactly what they're setting up here.
Yeah, because I thought that's who sent all those troops after.
Yeah, they gotta get Grogu. They need to do experiments to see if cloning can capture midichlorians.
Yeah, I'm interested. No. I'm interested in where they're going with it. I loved the visuals. I loved the train sequence. I love the Coruscant. Getting to see more of that. I liked this salvage shipyard with all the lights down and they're decommissioning and they're stripping parts and stuff. So I thought it was really well done and setting up a story. I'm curious to see what is Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's plan for Grogu, and would I be satisfied? And how do they explain where Grogu is in the Disney prequels or Disney sequels? The obvious answer is they're, like Alex says, tying it into the Emperor being cloned and Snoke and all that stuff. And if that's the case, would you be disappointed with that?
Yeah, I don't want this series tied to that series. I don't like Mandalorian visiting Boba Fett because Boba Fett is a series that I don't want to talk about anymore. So it's like when we're linking these properties together, I don't want the bad ones linked to one that is doing so well. And I think The Mandalorian is one of the bright spots, honestly, in recent Star Wars. And so it's like it can be its own thing. It can breathe. And I've said this before. The space wizard aspect of Star Wars is the worst part of fucking Star Wars. Like, where the fucking specific space wizards are at any given time. And I think
it's hyperbole. I mean, that's your opinion. I disagree in certain aspects. I wish and I hope for a series in the future where we get an old Knights of the Republic where you have multiple Sith.
Yeah, but that's not part of-
If it's
Those are
contained,
space
if it's-
wizards.
yeah.
And honestly, it's time now that we've gotten what they've shown that they can do the underseed of this universe really well. I'm hoping they can do the same for space wizards in the future. We have Sith Acolyte coming, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, but Star Wars canon.
We know
now.
how you feel, Alex. How do you feel?
Oh, I just want to because like, is Star Wars as a property that Disney is going, like, not the High Republic from the prequels on?
Yeah.
The fucking space wizards suck. They're just not. They just ruin everything as far as believability because their power level scale.
Sure, we understand your
I was gonna say,
opinion on it.
Oh, well, yeah, but I like the High Republic too. So I just
The High Republic.
I like the High Republic. I like the
that's
Old
the
Republic
new one
stuff.
that I don't think I like that one. That was where there's really not much Sith going on. Have you read those?
I stopped because they're not interesting.
Right.
Maybe
That's,
they
I
can
didn't
make
like
'em
that. I
young,
didn't think
but-
they were that interesting.
No, I would love it if it just self-contained, because I would be livid if from Boba Fett those spy kids somehow came over to the Mandalorian.
Well, we got half of them here. All the Mandalorians are.
multicolored spy kids. If you see those motherfuckers show up in the
No.
Mandalorian,
Get them
you're gonna
fuck outta here.
headshot.
Yes.
You want to see?
Destroy them.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody
No,
likes
I
those.
totally understand for sure. But would it bother you that because I just really don't know how he's going to do this in a satisfying way. We have to talk about it because they're clearly setting it up here, right? Where does Grogu go? Does he fight a clone of the Emperor? Maybe there's multiple clones of the Emperor, and so during that sequence, there was one Emperor on this planet and another Emperor somewhere. I don't know. Maybe
It's a whole warehouse.
They're clearly not going to do something dark where it's like Grogu is killed and is body harvested for cloning stuff. And
gonna
that's
have a
how we got
send-off.
the shittiest characters that we've ever seen in Snoke, and somehow Palpatine has returned. It was Grogu. No, so I'm just fascinated, and I am a little worried. But
Same.
okay, so let's go to final verdicts, and then we can go to the episode breakdown.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna give this one an 8. I think that the intro of this is 10 out of 10. Amazing stuff. And then I think that I really like the long explanation of what happened later. We just don't have we don't know where it's gonna go right now. It felt like a long segment that I really appreciate the length and the time to spend in there. I just don't know what necessarily the payoff is yet.
Yeah.
So I think that because we didn't get the payoff, it's the only reason I'm taking 2 full points away from the second part of the episode. So
What I need is for this length to continue through, the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan's episode.
Yo, yeah,
Yes.
Disney's a giant group of ridiculous cowards for making all of these, so many of their episodes super fucking short for no reason.
Yeah.
And we can spend time with these characters and things can get
And
fleshed
they don't
out.
need to have some big action sequence. Just because you have Mandalorians walking around doesn't mean that we can't spend slow time with them as we do these other characters in simple costumes.
And this is a great formula for them, right? The people who are just here for the explosion stuff got an incredibly satisfying intro, and then you can have both. So you can have your cake and eat it too. So I think that this is a good framework for going forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to also go with an 8. I love that it had action and it had a good story. Yeah, it kind of made you guess what's going on. Like I said, I don't know when they're going to do the cloning with
So y'all both
Palpatine.
agree this is a superior episode than the last two.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's because
because of the writing as well.
writing,
and it had
the-
That intro is also does
yes,
a lot.
intro.
it had everything that I kind of wanted. The writing and some
you know
badass
me in
action.
space battles,
And then
atmospheric battles.
I should have seen it coming. The little twist at the end with I guess it was spoilers. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, well, Bo-Katan's like, "Oh, look, you're in our clan now." I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
I forgot."
she's in the space church.
Now she
or
kind of has more purpose. Is she gonna keep it or is she
Mandalorian
gonna-
Baptist. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
so-
think she is, and I think this is how she can strengthen her claim to then,
Exactly,
challenging.
and that's,
We
I
already
like
saw
it.
the big Mandalorian lose to, our guy, and he's not going to rebattle him. So Bo-Katan has had a little bit of tension with him in the past over the Darksaber. So I think now that and plus she lost her Mandalorian crew, they just kind of fucking pieced out.
Exactly.
And
So now she has a new purpose, and I
notice
like that.
they set her up, making her kinder, making her a helpful character, making her an ally, making her kind of pause and kind of, she likes it. She thinks it's cute almost a little bit. But now she's starting to maybe get into it and believe it, and I like that. I'm hoping that I want that instead of some random. Like you said, Alex, traffic cone colored asshole.
The colors that they
bright.
painted the Mandalorians are fucking dumb. Like
No,
they're
they're
walking.
I think it was because
It was orange and
it
like
was fans that actually showed up. They actually got a bunch of enthusiasts to bring their armor.
Oh.
But I'm almost certain when
In
the
the back you
enthusiasts brought
see-
their armor up that they recolored them so they all match the show's
In
tone.
the back you see
so
like a
these colors
Hello-
are chosen on
you
purpose.
see a Hello Kitty one in the back.
You're wearing like a $1 trillion set of armor, and you're walking through
Joe,
like a random city, and you're like,
sweet.
that guy. It's like wearing a full diamond suit, but you want to stand out like a traffic
I want
cone.
the pink. I want the Hello Kitty one now.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep searching for it.
Yeah.
Guys, look out for it. All right. Well, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. What did I give it here? I gave it a 7 out of 10. I liked it. There, some pacing makes me like wish that they'll do this for our main characters, right? So you're really setting up that B plot now.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that you go back to the A plot, do this same kind of thing for that, and we'd be all gravy. So let's jump into the episode breakdown. So, so Bo-Katan lies to the Mandalorian. She's like, hey, did you happen to see our mythical beast that potentially can help me lead the planet? Because apparently, like, if you ride it, this is all Mandalorian lore, then you're going to gain a lot of respect, and you're going to be the leader. The first Mandalorian, literally called Mandalore, wrote it. And so maybe this, and we've already seen them set that up in Book of Boba Fett, where he's riding the Rancor, so there's probably going to be at some point riding that creature that skull symbol that they always wear. That's what's swimming under there. So she asks him, and so he's not aware of it, though. How he doesn't know what she's talking about, like, is there any, creatures under there? He's like, what could be on this planet? Well, I guess that mythical beast is the last thing he's thinking of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that they're dropping that little hint. Clearly, I think the conflict is going to be between these two. But for some reason, I thought that she would get her crew back, and then Mando would have this crew, and then those crews would go at it. But now it's looking like it's all from one side and fighting within one crew. Will the Night Owl show back up? Is it Night Owl or something Owl? Her faction. I wonder if they'll show back up at some point. Or maybe she will convince them of the way and start taking the way seriously. Because as of yet, she's not taking her helmet off. So she might actually follow these dumbass rules.
If it gets her an
everybody
army,
else.
she needs an army. She can't go back to the planet without one. So
Exactly. So when they travel back, best part of the episode, in my opinion, is just attacked. They're engaged in dogfighting with classic Star Wars. In atmospheric fighting. There's an Empire warlord, obviously, in the area. A bunch of TIE interceptors show up. They fight them. They bomb Bo-Katan's home, and she gets pissed. They want revenge, so she's chasing them down. Manages to nail one of them. Is about to kill the others until a bunch more fucking fighter swarms show up.
We gotta jump.
Yeah, and so they take off, and that's when we go to the cloning scientist speech. He's giving his speech. He's now part of the New Republic, reformed, been through camp, been through reassignment, maybe some re-education. So they're kind of painting the New Republic as not exactly, all it's cracked up to be. They got their own hypocrisies going on and things like that. But this one thing I don't quite buy. He obviously switched sides. They make him seem like he's upgraded to a main character. He's in what's called the amnesty housing, and all these highfalutin rich people come up to him and, oh my God, could you imagine me being recruited? Blah blah blah. I don't care whether they're rebels or empire. I forget this whole thing. They're just rich. They don't care. We try to stay out of it. And you're like, oh fuck these people. But you would think that this research would be valuable. I don't know. It caused a fucking intergalactic war, or it was the only thing that helped save the goddamn universe at the time with all the fucking clone warriors. If we didn't have all the clone war troopers, then we would all be attacked by the droids, and the separatists would have won. So why are you treating as if cloning technology is, not important?
It's unethical.
It's basically as if
This
you
is
get
New
an Albert
Republic.
Einstein from the enemy, from the Germans, and then you just put him, I don't know,
Paperwork.
in a fucking halfway home? Like, what? That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, the whole episode kind of paints the New Republic as kind of inept, which I
Just
mean, I get
this level of ineptitude is bullshit.
yeah,
but-
a little bit because they got a lot to do, but like
That's what they have to do in order to make, the First Order work, I guess, and all this other stuff. Because the First Order obviously wouldn't work without.
no, I don't wanna
I'm
talk about
sorry,
that.
Alex. I had to
Stop
mention the First Order.
John and Dave need to fucking stop it.
They're like, hey man, we're dealing the hand we got dealt to us. The Kathleen Kennedy and the Disney kind of fucked it up. Just trust us. Trust them, Alex, and let them do a little bit. I don't think they're gonna slather it all over. I hope they're not gonna slather it all over. But they are gonna tie it together because that's what they do. They've tied their sequels to previous stuff. They're known for tying their stuff to George Lucas's stuff. They're gonna tie. Ultimately, it's a business and it needs to work. So eventually, he goes to the housing. They all have. They don't even have names anymore. They're going really hard, ham-fisted. They're basically
52,
prisoners, somewhat re-education.
Which is super weird because like having a
doesn't make
serial
any
number is
sense.
very much more like an imperial thing versus
Right.
a republic thing. Where,
That's
but like
bullshit.
yeah, it was
again. I don't. I think it's poorly done. Moff Gideon's assistant is there, and we're like, "Hey, I remember that lady because you just showed me in the preview thing." And she's clearly a spy, double agent here, but of course she manages to do what, Joe? Kind of
Betray.
trick him and shit.
She's like,
befriend him.
she's like-
Don't jump ahead. Let's go a little at a time. When I
Well,
kick
you-
it to y'all,
you just
let's
said
go a
it's
little at a
alright.
time.
You becomes friends. It's like, yeah. So what were you doing? I was like, oh,
How'd she earn his trust?
it was cloning. They're
Cookies.
talking about what did
That's
you miss
right.
about it?
Cookies.
He's like, oh, don't jump ahead, like you said.
Hey, he did it, not me.
It's like, what do you miss? And like they're all talking about what they miss. It's like, I missed the biscuits. And
You
later
know they're gonna
on,
put that
like,
shit
"Here's
in,
biscuits."
in the stores now, right? I saw somebody commenting.
sure.
They said I'm gonna put that. You're gonna see them biscuits at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
in a
I'll make
week
you
or
some.
two.
They just look like basic shortbread. I'll make you some shortbread cookies.
Sweet.
$500. You just
Wait,
you,
no, never
yeah,
mind.
Well, you guys can have some for free.
Yeah.
We gotta sell them on the internet.
Cookies.
Yeah, she gives them some cookies, and then they just start talking. It's like, oh, so your cloning thing, we could use for good. Try to get on the good side. It's like,
Yeah.
the Republic just doesn't understand.
Exactly.
If I could get you some,
They depict the Republic. He tries several times
Mm-hmm.
to try to, hey, what about this? And they're like, shut up, archive these useless.
it's like people don't have to die.
Things.
Like we could clone organs and stuff like that. And
Right. The character motivation from him is his mother died,
Mm-hmm.
and if he had better cloning technology, could have got her some organs.
And save other people.
They also showed a little bit with the DNA. You take the best traits, and here's where I'm like, okay, that's how we're gonna do
Eugenics,
That's how they do
yay.
the Mandalorian, the Metachlorian count. We're gonna take the best traits and combine it with this.
Metachlorians.
And so I guess that's how they're gonna create another
It's over
emperor. I don't
9,000.
know. Anyways, long live the New Republic. They're fucking morons. But it is a story beat, the first story beat that's kind of introduced that's outside of the Mando's water bathing journey and leadership journey. So now, whether it ends up interesting or not, we'll see. This is just the setup. Obviously,
that was a good setup. I
That
like
was a good setup for it, and we'll see where it goes. They're eating. So as she's gaining his trust, they go eat glowing popsicles.
I think they're like
I want to have some of those.
photon
Weirdly
popsicles or
CG
something.
glowing popsicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll there's some kind of fucking space fair and stuff. I want to try one of those.
Well,
That'll be at
we got,
Galaxy's Edge
yeah,
as
I was
well.
gonna say we got to go to Galaxy's Edge.
Why not continue your research here now for the New Republic? But I just knew nobody's convinced that she's really his friend. She's gonna steal or use his noble goals instead for the Empire when the time comes. I just didn't realize it would happen all right here. They did it all in one episode, which is good and I like, and they had plenty of time for it. I just found the world interesting. We finally see, we've never seen it before, but Coruscant actually has topography. There's actually rocks and shit.
One
It's
rock.
the highest mountain peak but it's surrounded by the city, and it's just like a little novelty to them. He tries to touch it, and a little fucking robot comes over. So these scenes are genuinely good scenes on getting a person to trust another person.
Exactly.
You know, even though you know what's up, but it's well done, and it uses the universe's lore, lets you explore, lets you have time to breathe and live in the world. That Andor was so good at.
She's the dentist system.
So she plays a joke on him, and then she goes, "Let me buy you a proton fizzle." That's what
Fizzle,
it is. I
that's
think
what it
proton
is.
fizzle is something different than the popsicles that they have.
Oh,
Why would you just go and buy another popsicle and that comes up? Anyways, he goes to a robot patrol officer, and this is like his counselor. And what do they do there, Alex?
Oh yeah, the parole officer. It's like, tell me how you're feeling today. You're walking through the desert, and there's a tortoise upside down, and it's like, oh, okay, no. And they're just asking basic questions like, are you happy? He goes, yes. Are you sure you're not a bad guy? Also, yes. All right. Well, have a nice day.
Are you feeling like being a bad guy?
He hesitates.
I know you were a Nazi scientist before, but are you trying to be a Nazi scientist now? Definitely not. Good enough for me.
Good talk.
Yeah.
So he exits, and and we get this scene a few times, and it's just showing the progression of how he's undervalued, disaffected. The Republic doesn't really care about his stuff, and he wants to help. So finally, she provides him this, kind of nudges him towards it, earns his trust with the biscuits, and finally he's like, "Fuck this, let's do it. Let's go grab the lab materials, and I'll continue my research." So they go on this train. We get this cool little alien on the train. I'm like, boo. It's like I like aliens. We need to see, new, interesting creatures. It is sci-fi after all. But one little nervous sneak away adventure. It's a fun little thing. And then, and I made some notes here. I say these are the lengths I desired. It may not have been this time around. It may not have been as interesting for some, but I liked the room for it to breathe. This extra 20 to 25 minutes really matter in setting things up. And so then they go into this dark and ominous Star Destroyer ship, and they reveal their names to each other. She's like, "Hey, I'm sorry for never coming up to you," just gaining his trust. Elia Kane, and he's Dr. Pershing. So, but they find a lab. He gets a little fucking box and puts all the materials in the box with all the lights. I'm like, all this shit works, man. This ain't stripped by now. I guess it takes a while to strip an entire Star Destroyer. So, but as they move out, they get fucking caught. So the light is shown on them. They got some New Republic troopers at gunpoint, and they're fucked. I'm like, how the hell is she going to get out of this? You can press a button. Moff Gideon going to show up and shoot all these people? Nope. She just stands with them in front of them. It was like, I got you, motherfucker. I led you here, and I set you up. He's like, motherfucker, babe. Don't trust the women. Don't trust the women. They're going to fucking betray me. She set me up, he says, and they tie him down, and they're gonna use a mind. He's like, this is a mind flare, and he's like, no, this is a rehabilitation. It's a mind flare. He's like, yeah, but it's on the lowest settings, and it's approved. So you get a little bit of that, and I guess so. She set him up here for brownie points with the Republic, Alex.
I mean,
what do you think her motivation is?
There's a ton of things that you could do. You could get him up to, like, you break him down to the lowest of the low, where he truly does not like the New Republic. He ends up in jail if he's not mind wiped, right? And then someone in jail's like, hey man, I think I can get you out of here, but you got to work for me and do some other like more evil shit before.
Right.
And it's how you bring him back into the fold of evil. Or I mean, I don't know. They could just have wiped
force him to work for them or give them what they need.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to tattle on you, and New Republic's going to torture you more.
Or this just could have been a super long roundabout way to tie up loose ends. He was the guy who probably developed a bunch of stuff that somehow Palpatine returned. And if that is the case, and they're just trying to make sure that no one knows about cloning other than Palpatine, then...
Well, if that's the case, they were doing this from the very beginning, because this is a character from Season 1. So they are just tying the loose end that they themselves set up in Season 1. So... we're going to get hopefully the payoff here, or at least the reveal here to what the hell's going on. Because I feel like they're going to try to get Mandalorian. I think 5 seasons is what they're looking at. So don't expect this to come to a head, Joe, here at the end and get some kind of resolution. So
5? Okay.
I'm thinking 5. What do you think? You think they're ending it after this one? Hell no.
Maybe one more, because
You think
I
it's
feel
4?
like I don't know where else they're gonna go with it.
It depends. If you bring some badass villains, you fucking introduce Thrawn, You bring back Ezra. You do something like that. But maybe they're gonna save that for Ahsoka's series. Kind of ties into her stuff a little better, maybe. But if you do that, then yeah, I'm down for a whole season of that because I want to give it plenty of time. This one by the end, they're gonna have a new leader of Mandalore. That's all this one is, in my opinion. And then let it clue us in on what the fuck with the cloning and the Grogu and the thing.
I think you can. I would watch many seasons if we kind of go back to the Shogun assassin style thing, where it's the lone cowboy walking through the desert. He's got his little baby in the carriage because Grogu's going to be a baby for another 100 years.
Well, when you're doing the lone cowboy and he's meeting friends across the galaxy, and we really like this, where he gets a lot of cool cast characters. You can't walk alone for 5 fucking years.
Yeah, I mean, so he could. There's all sorts of people that could be coming for him. They could be coming for the baby. Like, there's interesting things that you can do if they really want to stretch this thing out. So I'd be down if they've got a plan, but right now apparently they don't.
Well, so she watches him be tortured, and he's like, she set me up, and they're like, thank you for turning him in. It's such a shame. We need more people like you. And she's like, yeah, I care about him so much. I'm going to stay here. If you could please exit the room. I know the job's not finished or whatever, but like you could just leave. I don't know why you leave. So he leaves so that she can jack it up.
They left the torture setting on the torture device that's supposed to be the wait. So
we don't do that.
For the electric chair, you took off the part where it kills you, right? You lowered the thing so it can't even go past. There's like a screw you put in place. They're like, oh no, just leave it on one. It's like, what if you slip? What if someone doesn't know what they're doing? It's like, oh, we fried that guy.
Sometimes you really need to.
So we need to know, did his mind get completely wiped? Or is it just, fucking him up and he's got, a scatterbrain now? So then we switch back to Mando and Bo. They both arrive at their destination. It turns out that it was his convert. His convent, whatever. Just the fucking Mandalorian religious guys. And they're like, hey, you get out of here, apostate. You're not allowed to go any further. And he's like, well, I bathed in the waters. I just went. Now I'm back. He's like, you're lying. And he's like, well, I got proof.
I have to save his dumb ass.
Bo-Katan's like, yeah.
It's like, you didn't have to say that part. Shh. You did what? You're wearing armor,
I wielded the dark saber about 5 times more efficient, 100 times more efficiently. Anyways, they let him by, and they resolve this pretty quickly. She, tests the waters or whatnot, and they have magical properties that, so they confirm these are the waters. And he says, he speaks the truth. You are redeemed. And a bonus, Bo-Katan is also redeemed.
Yeah,
and
I
she's
should
like,
have
hey,
seen that coming. I forgot. But,
I should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. Nice. But she's like, I don't walk the way. I do not know the way.
I way.
And she's like, you do know the way. And she's just like, okay, the way. And so she hadn't removed her helmet since. And so I think she's going to be one of them too. So they offer her to be one of the two. They say, you can leave at any time if you want. But I think she's going to stay.
She's going to be one of those religious leaders that doesn't believe at all, but it's like, I can use this as a tool to make sure all of these people do exactly what I want.
Yeah,
because
I just don't want them to make Bo-Katan a villain. Not only because, her past and what happened with her sister, but also because it's Katie, and I love her. So but they're going to set up, it just feels like they're setting up a rivalry, and this is how they'll do it between Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian. Though, ultimately, at the end of the show, I think it's, Djarin is going to be the leader because it's the Mandalorian.
Oh, you think he's going to be the leader?
Yeah, I think he's going to take control.
Oh, no.
You think it's Bo-Katan?
I think she takes control. She takes the dark saber.
Her right-hand man.
I think he wanders the desert with babies so they can have more seasons.
That would be fucking cool as shit. But, or do they go the necromonger side, Riddick, where he's in control of all the necromongers at the end of Chronicles of Riddick? He's in control. So we'll see which direction.
I see more of Mandalorian as loner.
Yeah, and that actually would fit the Wild West thing more, and they're going to play that up. So they'll do both. He wins or he has control, but he's like, nah,
I give it up.
But then with Bo-Katan, that's her whole thing. I don't want to get control from just being given it. I want to get it legitimately.
Well, riding a mythosaur.
So they'll give it to her legitimately, and he'll want.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah, because if you're riding the beast, I think supersedes magic sword.
Yeah, the dark saber. Okay, well, it's even
seen it.
older. That tradition is even older, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So it'll give legitimacy to her claims, give her purpose again, and we can all be happy Mandos. They're not. What did I say here? You can't just have fights without any context or character setup. That's what I was talking about the first 2 episodes. This is why, while visually those were really cool, we needed a little bit more a setup for those, and they would have, impacted harder. Even though the space battle here is relatively short and quick, but to me it was really entertaining to watch because we just had that scene.
Who do you think was after who blew up her house? You think it's Gideon? I think it's Gideon.
It's definitely Gideon, but I'm curious if there are other Moffs helping him out and if there's somebody above Gideon, because it seems like he just got back control 100%, and now he's got even more forces than before. There has to be something there. Which also, and then, I don't know why I wrote this down, but that pirate is rumored to be in Jude Law's series, The Skeleton Crew. So, you know about the Skeleton Crew series they're going to do on Disney+. So I think he might be actually the main villain in that crew. And Jude Law is going to be like this adult, and the cast is like kids. And so he's like,
no,
yeah.
I'm not interested at all.
I knew you would have.
Yeah.
I knew you said that. So I kind of wanted to drop that here just to prepare your butt for that potential. Now, these are all rumors that not been confirmed. I don't know if I wouldn't like that either. But Jude Law, I got to give it at least one shot. But that's why they kind of like introduced this pirate character, because this pirate character is really cool, right? And he just fucking disappears. So is he going to come back? Or they're just like, hey, that's my cameo to set up the Skeleton Crew later on, and you never see him again in Mandalorian Season 3. I think we're never going to see him again in Mandalorian Season 3, and that's why I think the rumors may be true. Anyways, so that's all we got. Did I miss anything? I got the popsicles. I got the mountain. I got motherfucking everything in there.
We got everything.
Alex has got the setup, which we were talking about this even in season 1 and 2. It's like, how are they going to tie this into Snoke?
You can tell stories within the universe and have them be wonderful. Andor, right? But every scene of Andor and every episode of Andor wasn't
they
like
tie Andor into the greater thing with the.
But it's not like directly linked where characters are constantly making cameos and doing other shit, and it's just like we're getting close to that. We're not there yet, but we're getting close to a point where I'm going to start not liking some of the episodes if we get to the place that I'm worried about it getting to, because they've done it in other properties too. It's like, man, don't remind me of the thing that I don't like, that no one liked. You're trying to make me like it, so I buy more toys, and it's not going to work for me. So I don't know. I'm worried.
And obviously, Bo-Katan is now part of the crew. I mean, I just realized the episode title, The Convert. She's converted over. So she's a part of their crew now. And she's either going to use it for her own gain. Now, next week is Carl Weathers directed the next one. So he gets his hand at directing an episode, so I'm looking forward to it. This is the one where Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni shows up for his first writing credit. They wrote this one together, so very curious. If it's Dave, then I feel like maybe there's going to be some ties to, stuff that he set up in Ahsoka, maybe Thrawn, maybe teases at what they're doing with Grogu in the future. Probably Moff Gideon, Darksaber stuff. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We like this one better. Did you like this one better or worse than the last one? Let us know. Downvote us if you feel like it. Still engagement. Still helps. Thank y'all guys so much, and we will see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.